Okay, so in terms of the pulse, again, like I said, we are going to be really looking at the member perspectives. And then the sponsorship opportunities are here. And again, this is on the website, available on the website. And then also, like I mentioned, you have the opportunity to become a panelist as part of this. And there is a panelist guide out on the website, as well as a sponsorship guide. So if you want to look into the exact details of what either a sponsorship or becoming a panelist involves, it's there. And you can send any recommendations or requests to become a panelist to marketing@msua.org. Or you can just reach out to me directly, either way. Okay. So, sorry, before I continue, any questions on the pulse? Okay. And we'll be proactively reaching out to members as well. I'm looking at various topics that your organizations are kind of experts in or putting out content about. And I may be reaching out to you directly to look at potentially doing a session together. Which leads into our membership renewals. And this is really exciting. The deadline for membership renewals is December 30th, so basically the end of the year. For our early renewing members, so corporate or small business members, they will get a complimentary gold sponsorship of the Pulse with their renewal. So, so we really encourage you to take advantage of that. And then same for new 2021 members, they will also have the opportunity to get a complimentary sponsorship at the silver sponsorship level. So great opportunities. And you can kind of see here the membership dues, just as a reminder of what those look like as well. So in any case, we haven't in previous years really done anything for renewing members. And I thought it was really important to offer a great benefit. And the Pulse is a great way for you to promote some of the things that you're working on or talk about topics that are relevant to you and your users or customers. The other thing I wanted to mention, and this is a little bit early, but you can start thinking about this, are the Mobility Innovation Awards. So we do this every year at the Satellite Conference, and submissions for this will be due February 12th of next year. And we will have these award categories. So Company to Watch, Chairman's Award for Outstanding Innovation, 5G Hybrid Wireless Mobility Innovation, Top Connected Mobile Platform Innovation, Top Government Mobile Innovation, Top Mobile User Experience Innovation, and then a Top Innovative Mobile Marketing Campaign. So those will be the categories. And I think last year, one of the main questions that we got quite a lot was, can I submit either the same solution or different solutions for multiple categories? And the answer is yes. So you guys can start thinking about what you might want to submit for the Mobility Innovation Awards, which I highly recommend doing this. We're also, one of the things that I want to add this year is making sure that we put a place on the website where we can actually house background information about what all of the winning or what all of the award winning organizations are doing, what those winning solutions are. Another thing I just wanted to talk about, these are our current members. And so as we've been talking about, our members are our future. So not only our existing members, but the new members that will come in and join us. So one of the things that I'm really looking to do, and I'm hoping some of you may be interested in participating in this, is really, well, there's two main things that I want to look at. One is how we make sure that we're really providing great value to our existing members. And most of our existing members are solution providers within the mobile satellite industry. The other thing I'm really looking to do is bring in an end user perspective. So get users of the, business users of our solutions, of our current memberships solutions, also involved and becoming members of the organization. Yet in order to get users involved, we're going to need to have we're going to need to give benefits that are relevant to the user community. So one of the things I was thinking to do, and I would love your input on this, is to develop a couple of groups within our organization. And it doesn't have to be, it could be anyone within our organization, or even potentially people outside of our organization that have an interest in helping us, develop what those user benefits would be, and to further develop the benefits for our current solution provider members as well. So if you'd be interested in in participating in I guess like an advisory group that would help us brainstorm ideas and then bring those ideas to the table for our membership, that would be great. One of the ideas that I had was, for existing members, one of the things that we could do is have a set of benefits that they could offer to the user community, as if those users were members of the MSUA. So something to think about. Any initial thoughts or ideas that you guys have or you want to share? Okay, well, think about that. The other thing to consider are additional benefits that we can offer, again, like I said, kind of to our user community as well as our existing solution provider community. And so there's a number of things that I've been looking at. One of the things that we're already moving forward with is, I think you guys are familiar that Euroconsult provides quarterly articles for mobility news. And by the way, if you're not signed up to get mobility news, make sure to go out to msua.org. It's a weekly newsletter that has all of the latest news in the mobile satellite industry and really beyond. So it's a really valuable way of kind of getting all the latest news. In any case, so Euroconsult is providing those quarterly articles to us. And then I've talked to them about offering our members a discount for their research, because as I think most of you know, they're an analyst firm in our satellite industry. And so I've asked them if they would offer our members a discount. And so they're putting together an offer for MSUA members so that you can gain access to some of their research at a discounted rate. And then also they have the WSBC coming up November 9th through the 11th. And they will also be offering a discount to our MSUA members for attending that event. And it's a virtual event this year, as so many are. So those are other benefits that we're looking at. I've also been talking to another I guess research analyst on the mobile and IoT side of things. So they're not really in the satellite industry, but they do a lot of custom research reports for various organizations. Like they just did a big report on the autonomous edge, which is the session that we did for the Pulse. And they did that report for Intel. So I've been talking to them to see if they would be willing to offer some sort of a discount or some sort of a special offer to MSUA members to create custom reports. Because I know, like, for a lot of us, getting information out and doing it in a credible way is really important. And so this is kind of one way that our members could do that. So nothing solid there yet, but just a little preview of some of the things that we're working on. Any questions or thoughts on like member benefits?
I have one question. The relationship that you have with Euroconsult, is there anything exclusive about that like, I'm thinking of a couple of other analyst firms that I think could bring value from in terms of connecting to the user community.
Sure. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's definitely look at that. That would be great. If you have relationships or people that you could connect us with, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks, Jennifer. Okay. And I didn't read all these ideas here, guys, but these are all just things that we're looking at or ideas that we have. And again, really looking for people that would be interested in getting involved in a group that would define what new member benefits might look like, and how we can get that user community more engaged. As you know, we are the Mobile Satellite Users Association. So I would love to get users engaged in the organization. Okay, so that's kind of the MSUA business for today. And certainly if you guys have any questions, you can reach me now at president@msua.org. I guess that's new news. I don't know if you guys saw it. Hopefully you saw it. I was, I guess, elected into the president role, which officially doesn't start until November 1st. So it's a little bit early, but in any case, so if you need anything from the MSUA, feel free to reach out to me. Okay, with that, I want to introduce our special speaker for today, Nikki Peters. Nikki and I have known each other for, oh gosh, I don't know, probably 20 years.
At least,
a long time.
Think about how old our kids are now and how old they were when we met.
Oh my gosh, I know. I don't even think I had a kid when we met. So in any case, I really, one of the things that Nikki did over the years was she ran these amazing customer advisory boards for a company that we both worked for called Logicalis, that she still works for today. And so I really wanted to bring her in to talk about the best practices and of having customer advisory boards, how to get people engaged, how to make these sessions really valuable. So I'm going to stop sharing, Nikki, so you have the opportunity to share.
All right.
And anyway, so I'm really, really pleased to have Nikki here today to share this content with us.
Okay, so thanks, you guys. Thanks for inviting me to talk to you today and share my experience with you. So again, my name's Nikki Peters. Currently, I am a product marketing manager at Logicalis, but I've been working in the technology industry for over 25 years and have held a variety of different roles. And as Lisa mentioned, I've been, involved in customer advisory type of panels and meetings throughout a lot of that. But, my experience today is, focused on bringing new products, new solutions to market. And I've seen a huge shift over the past, I'd say 2 to 3 years, in how we even think about bringing a product to market or a solution to market. Where, things that used to be focused on the technology or, what's the next greatest technology coming today, we really have to look at everything we're doing through the lens of the customer experience. So, when I think about customer experience, these are a lot of things that come to mind that, do impact the customer experience. Some that stand out to me are the outcomes, communications, time to value. But when you look at all these different things here, what you see is everybody in your organization takes a role or has the ability to impact the customer experience. And to get your organization to start thinking about everything through the customer lens, it can be a big shift in how you do things, because you can't always, everything you're, on your roadmap or things you're doing doesn't always have that customer value. There might be a lot of value to you to get it out there, but you really got to be thinking about it through the customer point of view. Here's a bunch of different things, that I found out there around customer experience. So a lot of the analysts, a lot of companies are actually just making a business focusing on the customer experience. I work with the company Walker. They have a couple of quotes on here. They're, you know, they have helped me create a customer experience plan, right, on how we do that. And one of the things that really sticks out to me that they have been saying is that the customer experience is going to overtake price and product as your key differentiator. And if that's true, you know, that's a big statement that we really got to be focused on and thinking about. And I know we're in a little bit different industries, but you know, the more competitors you have and the more you're doing the same thing, if you think about it, that is what's going to keep a customer with you, is how their experience is and how they're treated. So, you know, when you think about the customer experience and how am I going to get input from the customers and what we're doing for them, you know, there's a few different things here that, you know, different ways you can measure that. So, customer sat surveys or NPS, right? Taking a, you know, asking the customers for feedback. NPS provides a really quick pulse on how you're doing, and you can do that often, and you can do it. It's not a lot of, you know, time for a customer to respond to a Net Promoter Score type of survey. You could do project-based surveys, right? So when you get done with a specific project with a customer, you can take a survey and find out how you did, and then you can also do data analytics across those project-based surveys to see if you can find any trends on how you're doing in that sense. A lot of companies now are hiring a dedicated customer success team that is compensated based on, you know, these things we're talking about, the customer's experience and the customer satisfaction with working with you. And then what we're going to dive into a little bit more today is about advisory boards, right? There's a couple different types of ways you could use an advisory board to get that input and feedback from your customers. All right, so why even consider an advisory board? You know, what I have found is that an advisory council type of format, it provides a venue to have conversations with your customers and to really bring up strategic services and conversations that lead to things that could support both of your businesses. So there really is value, if done right, to both your organization and those who are participating on your board. You know, so it's a large investment of time, but it can provide a lot of value if done right. So there's two types of advisory boards that I have been involved in. So there's the strategic advisory board and the tactical. So on the tactical side, you typically have operation level type of people participating in that. This type of board can give you direction on projects or services that you're providing or thinking about providing. It could help you improve upon your strategy or your goals. And things that might come up in this type of board would be, you know, recognition, improved experience, or, you know, maybe how you would change direction or influence the direction you're going. A strategic advisory board is typically at the executive level. It's going to help you set direction for your company. And it's really, you know, in place to help challenge the status quo, help make you better, and engage with your customers better. Things that you might talk about, you know, would be more high-level strategic, and it's really going to take an investment from both you and the customer, I think, to make a strategic advisory board valuable and work. And in my experience, it is not a good idea to overlap these two. If you almost need a peer environment to be able to have good dialogue and conversation. If you have different levels of people involved in your advisory councils, just their point of view, their expectations are totally different, and somebody's going to be disappointed with the time spent there. So we were just talking, Lisa was just talking about, you know, getting your users involved and what benefits can you provide them. The same is true here, right? I think you got to start from the beginning, thinking about what is going to be the benefit to the customers that participate to invest the time to do this. So here are just some things that, that I've thought about or I've used over the years to get customers excited and engaged in advisory boards. So really giving them insight into your business that they might not have had typically is one thing that will really motivate them to be involved. The ability to network with their peers and potentially with their competitors, right? You could have customers that compete with each other. So being able to have kind of a neutral environment where they can do that is very beneficial. Being able to give input to you to make it easier to do business with you might be something that they, would be interested in. I know a lot of times at the advisory councils I've held, just the operational pieces of, processing invoices and some of the processes that, we don't necessarily think are challenging, but our customers do, and they're able to give us advice and help us improve those to make their experience better, right? And it potentially could have a influence in helping drive transformation in your business and the direction of your business. And of course, there has to be benefits to you to be able to do this, right? And I think, they're probably, if you're even considering it, you probably already, have some ideas of what you want to gain from it. But, here's just a few things, that you could get out of it, right? You could, have a better understanding of what you're providing today. What is the customer doing with that? How is it helping their business? Are there gaps in those services that maybe you should be thinking about? You can share your strategy, your roadmaps, where you're going. Is this something, are you on track with what they need? It can help you deepen relationships. I've seen customers be very, very open at these advisory council meetings, things they aren't going to normally share with whoever's working with them from a sales standpoint, right? They'll come and they'll be very open. And the other thing is I've seen them share intelligence about competitors, right? They're potentially dealing with your competitors. And if that competitor is doing something better than you, they'll probably be open to giving you some feedback around that. So, another thing to think about is your goals and what outcomes do you want to have when you do this. You don't want this to just be, a meeting where you're presenting and providing information. You really got to think through, what am I trying to get out of this meeting? And you need to be thinking about that through planning, follow-up. What are my goals, and why, am I on track to achieve what I set out to do with this advisory council? So, here are just some ideas, guidance, getting input from the customers, exploring trends and directions that they might be seeing and needing from you, areas of growth, make sure you're in alignment. So there's, a lot of different things, but I'd encourage you to think about this up front as you're planning your advisory council. So the next thing I want to talk about is, who do you invite, right? Who should be involved from your side and the customer side? So, do you want to invite just current customers, or do you want to try to get potential customers involved? And we talked a little bit about this before, but the title level, the participation, right? I think it's real important that everybody's kind of got the same type of role or the same level within the organization to get the best interaction. Should it be something regional or global, right? What's the scope? And does it need to have an industry-specific slant to it, or can you do something cross-industry to get more participation? And then the number of members, this is kind of tricky. I have found it to be. There's a certain, number of people when you're meeting face-to-face or even virtually that create good interaction. There's always going to be, people who are busy and can't make the meeting. So, what is the right number to get the right level of participation when you are meeting? So that's something to think about. If I have to kind of go a little bit on the larger side, then and expect that you're going to have a certain % of fallout for the meetings. And then on your side, my experience is that everybody in the organization wants to be involved in this, right? So you could very easily outnumber the customers there if you were to allow everybody that's interested to participate, right? I think every salesperson wants to be at the advisory meetings. The customers want the executives there, and there's other people who probably it makes sense. What we found that's worked well is that, a subset of the executive team is who is on the council, and then we'll invite in individual people to meetings and get them introduced to the members, let them present, what they're working on, and we'll rotate people out just to make sure we don't overwhelm the customers with too many people there. So the where and when. So right now, obviously, if you were to start an advisory council, you'd probably have to do it virtually. But, in normal times, you've got to think about how often would you meet and how often would you meet face to face? Are there opportunities in between meetings to meet virtually? So that's something to think about. How often do you do it so it's not overwhelming, but you're keeping everybody connected? When you're doing something, do you just have the meeting, or do you include, some fun time? The other thing to think about is everybody going to be somewhere anyway, right? Industry conference. If there's events taking place that most of your members would be going to anyway, it might make sense to just tack on your advisory council meeting to that event. So another big thing to consider is a facilitator. That facilitator could be someone in your company. It could be somebody outside your company. But my opinion, it is very important to have a facilitator, and it is ideally would be somebody who is not in your organization. A facilitator, you're going to go into this meeting and you have an agenda, you have your goals, you've kind of got your script down of what you want to happen. But a lot of times these customers will take your agenda or the conversation a totally different direction, and you may or may not see that. What I've noticed is professional facilitators are able to keep an eye on that in the pulse of the meeting and make adjustments to the agenda on the fly to make sure you're addressing your customers' needs. They also help take care of a lot of the work that's involved. So planning, pre-work, follow-ups, keeping track of the action items and making sure the council moves forward. So I think there's a lot of value in having a third party facilitate your meetings. All right, the next thing, I wanted to bring up is budget. So I think, to do this right, you're probably going to need to have some sort of budget associated with it. Things to think about from a budget standpoint: hotels, facilities, are you going to have this somewhere where everybody's going to go? Catering, dinner, maybe you would bring in a guest speaker from an analyst or something, right, to provide some extra value. And then travel, who's going to pay for the travel? If you're meeting and people need to travel, who's going to cover that expense? So those are all things to be thinking about as well. So the next thing I think is pretty important is getting the commitment from the customers to actually be a part of this. And I think there's, three things to think about there as you would putting together a charter around this is, first is time commitment, the length of time. You don't want to be changing members in and out every time you have a meeting. So as you put this together, I think it's important to kind of sell the council to the customers, talk to them about the benefits they're going to receive, and get a commitment, a time frame commitment from them. We need you to participate for a minimum of 12 months, 18 months, whatever it is. Make sure they understand that, this is not just something you want them, popping in and out of as it's convenient for them. You're looking for a commitment for them to actively participate for a length of time. And then money, right? So we talked in the screen before, who's going to pay for travel? And I've done this both ways, where we've covered all the travel. And what we found is it's very easy for the customer to get busy and cancel at the last minute when they have no skin in the game. So we had gone down this route, and we ended up changing it, and we went to the council and said, hey, we're going to ask you guys to pay for your flights. It's, you know, not a ton of money, not a huge investment, but we need you to have some sort of level of commitment, and it'll make you kind of think before you just automatically cancel, you know, attending. And they all agreed to do that, and it did make a difference, right? So they had some skin in the game. It wasn't a lot, but they did, you know, they did think about it before they decided to just not show up. And the last, you know, idea I have here is making sure there's assignments that come out of the meetings for these council members, that you're working on things together. It's not just you going back with a to-do list, but including them in it so they stay engaged. So I just, you know, that's mainly what I have to share with you guys. Just wanted to, you know, close out with a few things that I think are keys to success. So I mentioned this a couple times, you know, stature, making sure people are within the group are peers, right? That you don't have executive and, you know, maybe lower level operations attending the same advisory board. Everybody's going to be willing to share and be more open if you have it, you know, kind of at a peer level. You know, follow up, make sure there's strong follow up coming out of the meeting and going in, and everybody knows what to expect from a communication standpoint and what's going to happen next. Make sure that your customers feel that, you know, you have a shared future, and this board is here to help, you know, help keep you engaged and make sure you are providing what they need from you. Commit to active listening, and I mentioned this earlier with the facilitator, right? You're going to go in with things you want to accomplish, but you really got to listen and make sure that you're picking up on what those customers are bringing to you and sharing with you. And the last thing is keep it action oriented, right? You don't want to go in with presentations, present to them, you know, put them to sleep, and have them not get any, you know, feel like they were involved in the conversation. So you really, I would advise keep presentations to a minimum, make sure it's interactive. Everybody has a chance to share their ideas and, you know, feel like they are really a part of this and are influencing your company and the things that you are doing with them. And that's it. Do you guys have any questions?
Hey, Nikki, what have you done to actually identify facilitators? How do you find a facilitator?
So when we started looking for a facilitator, I basically just asked around in the industry if people knew somebody. I ended up, the last time I did this, I interviewed 3 or 4 people, and then just picked the person I felt was the best fit to keep our group on track and make sure we, accomplished what we were trying to do.
Yeah. How much, I know, how much do they charge? I mean, what would be in a reasonable range, or what would we expect?
I don't know if I have an answer for that. I'm thinking you're probably looking, if you're totally going with, somebody that's not, if you have somebody in your industry that you get a referral to, which I've done, and I think it was like, $500 a meeting or something like that. But to get somebody who's going to really own it for you for a long period of time, my guess is they're just going to charge you hourly for their time. It would almost be like, hiring a marketing vendor to help you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a question, Nikki. As far as your customers, so I understand that stature, that makes sense, everybody there being at the same level, but what about, what's been your experience with like different industries? So someone like in a private business versus government or commercial, and then also large versus small customers?
Yeah, so we've always done cross-industry, so I've always had different, government, education, manufacturing, healthcare involved in the councils. And what I did make sure is they were at the same level of business with us, right? So we sell technology products, we do professional services, we do managed services, and we try to pick the customers that were kind of well-rounded, right? Consuming all of our service lines. We did have a couple of times where we would have one customer, even though they were all executives, if a customer came in who was just purchasing product from us but not consuming services, their comments and their reactions to things were very out of line compared to everybody else. So that's a good point. You kind of want to make sure they're the same type of customer in how they're doing business with you.
Okay, thanks.
It's really interesting. What have been some of the biggest, I guess, positive things that you've seen come out of doing these in the past?
I think the biggest positive thing that came out, and we never expected it, was that customers basically said, we're willing to invest with you for you to take on something new that we need. We don't expect you to take on the whole investment or cost of bringing some service that we need. We're willing to invest in it with you. So, for customers to stand up and say, hey, you're not doing very well here. We understand you've got to make some changes to do it better, and we're willing to, invest in that with you to make that happen. That was probably the biggest thing that I've seen happen that was like, whoa,
Yeah, that's actually really exciting, right? That
Yeah.
Not only are they giving you really valuable feedback, but they're also saying, hey, we care about this so much that we want to be in on this with you. We want to have some skin in the game. That's great.
Yeah, and I'd say the other thing, when they bring up something and then they see you're trying to take action to improve or do something different, they are a little more flexible with you in how they would normally respond, right? Because you're kind of sharing what's going on behind the scenes, and they're a little bit more, they're a little more supportive. They're not quite so, easy to get upset because, something didn't meet their expectations, because they have a better feel for what you're going through and what you're doing for them.
Yeah, that's really good. Have you noticed that the clients that participate, do they stay with you longer because of this? I mean, do they seem more committed as customers, more loyal?
I'd say it's 50-50.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, your customer's business will change and it's just not a good fit anymore. And, so there's definitely some customers that getting them involved in the council has, if there's trouble, right?
Yeah.
It might be a good way to save a relationship. But then I know there's, some that are there, and then, they were acquired or something happened and they're gone. So it's, it could go either way, I think.
Yeah. Great. Other questions for Nikki, you guys? Okay. Well, thank you so much for making time for this today, Nikki. I really appreciate it. This was great content. I know that so many of us have thought about this, or we've done it before, but maybe we got a few new hints on how to do it even better, or all of that. So really appreciate you being here today. I'm actually Oh, good. I see Jennifer giving applause. In any case, because I didn't turn on the recording early enough, I'm going to go back and cover the board member assignments. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my presentation again and do that. But you guys can leave. You don't have to listen to it. I'm just going to do it for the benefit of the recording. So anyone that listens to the recording will have that information as well. So feel free to listen to it again. But if you check out, thank you all for joining today and really appreciate you being here. And definitely, please reach out to me if you're interested in getting actively involved in those advisory groups that we're trying to put together. So again, those really focus on how do we get the user community involved in MSUA, and then also looking at our just overall member benefits and how do we make improvements to our member benefits for all of our members. So if you're interested in getting actively involved, we'd love that. If you have ideas for the Pulse and you'd like to engage with me on getting something lined up, let me know. And then also be sure to renew your membership so that we can give you that awesome gold sponsorship of a Pulse session. So in any case, thanks guys. And I'm gonna go back and talk about the board. Thanks all.
Bye everyone, thanks for having me.
Okay, so for those of you that are listening to the recording here, I'm going to go back to the presentation and just flip up to the top here. I forgot to turn on the recording, so I'm going to go really quickly and talk about the board nominations for 2021. For our existing board members, we need to hear back by October 30th, which I know is very soon. Just with an email to Secretary at MSUA letting us know that you would like to continue as a board member for the MSUA. For new board member nominations, which by the way, even if all of our existing board members came back, we still have a few seats that are open for our board. So we would love to have additional nominations. So new board nominations can be emailed to nominating@msua.org. And we just want the person's name, their member organization, the position or title that they hold, and then a short bio. Definitely we're interested in knowing about any board governance and not-for-profit experience that person may have. It's not mandatory, but would be valuable to know if that experience exists there. And then the candidates will be sent to the board of directors on November 6th. The deadline then for our members to return ballots is December 15th. And then in January, when we come back from the holidays, we will be announcing our new 2021 board, and those folks will take office. So we're really looking forward to that and encourage you to send through nominations. And certainly for our existing board members, we are hoping you will come back. The other thing, just while I'm repeating or going back and covering things that I missed on the recording earlier, I did want to just cover the Pulse really quick. This is our new webcast series. We did record our first session earlier this week on the autonomous edge. It was an amazing session, and we will be promoting that out and sharing it on, we'll have a live session on November 9th with all of our panelists coming in for live Q&A at the end. So watch for announcements on that. Definitely join us. And then also think about sessions that you may want to put together with us. We really want to bring in that user community, that user perspective. So all of these sessions we're hoping and planning to bring in a user to discuss how they're using a certain solution or how they're dealing with a certain challenge from a mobile communications satellite perspective. In any case, and like I mentioned and probably captured perhaps in the earlier recording, is there are a number of sponsorship opportunities. And just by the way, for renewing members of the MSUA, we are providing a complimentary gold sponsorship for both our corporate and small business members as they renew this year. And then we're also for brand new members of the organization, we're offering a complimentary silver sponsorship. So a great opportunity for both our existing returning members as well as net new members to the organization. If you know an organization that should join MSUA, feel free to refer them over to me at president@msua.org, or anyone can always just go to our website and fill out the contact us form. In any case, we really appreciate you joining today. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions or suggestions, and we really look forward to finishing out 2020 and rolling into 2021. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.